Gettysburg magazine, and we are coming to you today from inside one of Gettysburg's most popular restaurants, Gettysburg Eddie's, to talk about one of Gettysburg's most famous hometown heroes, Eddie Plank. And joining me today is Tim Smith, Director of Education with the Adams County Historical Society. Hi Tim, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
So Eddie Plank is he has this enduring legacy, but we're here to do more than scratch the surface. We are in Gettysburg Eddie's because this is how a lot of Gettysburg's residents and visitors alike are first introduced to Eddie Plank. So can you start to explain, Tim, who Eddie Plank was and why he has this enduring legacy?
Well, Eddie Plank is probably the most famous athlete from our county. And, I think when people come here as visitors and they see this restaurant, they come in and they say, oh, you're a Hall of Fame baseball pitcher from Gettysburg. And it's not new. People have been coming here since Eddie Plank was a popular baseball player and learning that this was his hometown. So something that people have been experiencing for many years.
And so his portrait is behind us. He has an A on his jersey. Do you want to explain the significance of the A? Because that's a common question here in the restaurant when they learn he played for Philadelphia, yet he has an A on his jersey. Explain that history maybe to us, Tim.
Well, starting in 1901, he was a member of the Philadelphia Athletics. And then he actually played in the Federal League, which was organized in 1915 for the St. Louis Terriers, and then he played a few years for the Boston Braves. There was talk that he might be traded to the New York Yankees, but he retired. And I think he was in the major leagues for some 17 seasons.
And I understand there's really a fascinating story behind how he even became a Major League Baseball player, and it has to do with Gettysburg College. And there's a lot of memorabilia here in the restaurant, so we're going to swing the camera around and actually take a look at some Gettysburg College memorabilia right behind us while you tell us this fascinating story.
Well, it's wonderful even for me to come here because the collection of photographs and memorabilia, you're dealing with early baseball, not just Eddie Plank, is incredible. And we have a number of photographs of him while he's in his prime. And it's amazing for me to look at him. I can see some characteristics of local Gettysburg families in his face. I know some of Eddie Plank's descendants and some of his relatives, and some of them still live here, so it's fascinating. Now, he was born in 1875, not far north of Gettysburg in Strabane Township. He was born on a farm. He played baseball with his brothers as a youth. He went to a local school, good intent school. That school had a little baseball team, and that baseball team played against other teams. Eddie really didn't have much education beyond the one-room schoolhouse, but he was a very good baseball player. Early on, he was noted as a great pitcher. By the time he's 20, he and some of his friends with a good intent school were playing other teams in the area, teams from Gettysburg and New Oxford and Sherrystown and Huntsville. And he's mentioned in our local newspaper. There's actually one game in which he recorded 19 strikeouts, which is very impressive.
Wow.
And it wasn't long before his pitching attracted the attention of Gettysburg College. And so in 1901, the Gettysburg College put him on the team. Now, he really never attended Gettysburg College. They had a classical school, they called it, that you would be enrolled in to prepare you to take the entry exam to the college. So they enrolled him in this kind of school as a preparatory school to going to college, but we're not sure if he ever took any real classes. And they put him on the college baseball team. And he, all of a sudden, it was this guy that was just a really good athlete and a really good baseball player, and he had coaching. And one of the college coaches had some experience in the National League early on. And so he trained and he got better. And all of a sudden, scouts started looking at him. And we're not exactly sure how the story went down, but he played for the Gettysburg College team in 1900, I should say, and in 1901, this Gettysburg College coach somehow ran into Connie Mack and said, hey, you got to see this new kid. Now, in 1901, the American League was forming, so there were new teams and they were looking for new prospects. And Eddie attracted the attention of Connie Mack. They actually called him to Baltimore, Maryland, from the Gettysburg College team for a tryout, and against the Baltimore Orioles. And they actually inserted Eddie in the lineup, and he pitched a few innings in that game. And he didn't do too well by all accounts, but he was offered a contract at the end of the game. He returned for one last game at Gettysburg College against Dickinson. That was on a Wednesday. And then on Friday, he packed his bags and he traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet the Philadelphia Athletics. He pitched in the game on Saturday and he won the game. Wow. And that was just the first of his 326 wins. He's third all time. Again, left-handed pitchers in wins.
Amazing, amazing story. Well, there is so much more information about Gettysburg Eddie's, the restaurant, in our current issue of Celebrate Gettysburg magazine, including the fact that the new owner, Steve Rasmussen, has added and restored the second floor of this restaurant and in what he calls the Jewel Box Lounge. And that's a nod to history because back in Eddie Plank's era, they started adding these second floors, second seating areas to these old-time baseball stadiums, and that's what they called them, the Jewel Box Lounge, or the Jewel Boxes. So the Jewel Box Lounge is here. There's more information in the magazine, but for right now, we are going to head over to your home, the Adams County Historical Society, because over there, I understand you have some more Eddie Plank treasures that we're going to go see. We are now standing in the Adams County Historical Society's beautiful state-of-the-art museum, Gettysburg Beyond the Battle. And case in point, we are going well beyond the battle here today to look at some memorabilia that you have from Eddie Plank, who we know was a Hall of Fame pitcher. So Tim, I have to ask you what a baseball bat is doing in this display case.
It was kind of interesting that, he's a well-known pitcher. He only had a few home runs in his entire career, but someone locally discovered a bat that was owned by Eddie Plank. And it's actually on loan from the horse soldier of Gettysburg in our exhibit.
Wow. And so what year was that from?
Oh, I do not know. Let's see. I didn't write it on it, but it's a Louisville Slugger. Okay. So it's from the time period that he was playing in the major leagues.
Wow. So we really want to understand a little bit deeper, Tim, why his legacy has been and continues to be so enduring.
Well, Eddie Plank, besides being a local person that had quite a bit of notoriety at the time, he's related to a lot of local people, and a lot of people here are proud of him. And, I talk to people all the time who come to the museum and their grandparents knew Eddie Plank or have a story associated with Eddie Plank. And he and his brother ran a garage, an automobile repair shop on York Street in Gettysburg. And he was well known in the community. And his wife actually was a genealogist and came here often to the Adams County Historical Society. And we have all her genealogy notes.
And I understand you really have a treasure trove of photographs
yes.
of Eddie Plank. Can you describe some of those?
Well, we have original photographs, and this is actually an original here in our museum case. I wanted to put on display. It's the 1911 World Series team, and this photograph was taken right after they beat the New York Giants. It's in Giant Stadium. I imagine it's taken like the next day. Connie Mack is in the middle. And this was owned by Eddie Plank. And on the people, you can see they've actually written their names on there. So you can see some of the names. Eddie Plank sitting next to Connie Mack and Chief Bender just above him, and some other famous Philadelphia athletics. So this is a pretty rare piece. And we have stuff from the banquet that was held in Eddie Plank's honor program. And upstairs in our archives, we have photographs when Eddie Plank is taking Connie Mack on a tour of the battlefield in 1913, which I really get a big kick out of.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, Tim, that you want to add about Eddie Plank? I know we've barely scratched the surface.
Yes. Well, he's buried in Gettysburg's Evergreen Cemetery. He died at the age of 50, so he didn't live that long after his major league career. And also, because of the way he was discovered and how his pitching career went about, he didn't even enter the major leagues until he was 26. Yeah. So the other thing I'd like to say is Eddie Plank is our hometown hero when it comes to baseball. But nearby, of course, in Franklin County, we have Nellie Fox from Thomasville. If you drive past Chambersburg, you'll see the home of Nellie Fox. And I guess Sid Bream, who played for the Pirates, is from nearby Mount Holly Springs. And then, of course, we have Wee Willie Sherdell, who's from McSherrystown, who was a World Series winning pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. And he's buried in McSherrystown. So there are some other baseball players in the area, but by far, Eddie Plank is the most famous.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Tim. We so appreciate you sharing all your insights. All the stories are fascinating. To me personally, I think one of the most endearing things about his legacy, about Eddie Plank's legacy, is just what an unlikely story it was that he even became a ball player. And I think maybe part of that resonates with all of us, that kind of underdog, unlikely hero part of his story. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate you taking time to like and subscribe to our Celebrate Gettysburg YouTube channel. For Celebrate Gettysburg magazine, I'm Karen Hendricks.